Hey everyone, this is Southern Fried Chad. I'm here again with Ready, Steady, Go, a well-known AON in the community. He maintains SPX6900 resources.com. There you can find useful links to get started in the Cognosphere. He also shows up every day in the community and bullpost and is fun to hang around. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. How did you initially get into SPX 6900?
Um, so I came across SPX6900 from Murad's videos. I think it must have been the Token 2049 talk, I think. And then I've got a bit of an addictive personality. So if I find something interesting, I will spend 100 hours at least looking into it. Um, So yeah, I saw Murad's video. I didn't. So I am a Bitcoiner. I work in the Bitcoin industry, hardcore Bitcoin maxi, and
Nice.
I knew of Murad, but because he wasn't posting as much, and I think because this was when he was working at the hedge fund before and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I kind of, you kind of forget about people when they're not on your timeline, sort of thing.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, so I kind of forgot, and then he popped up. I was like, I recognize this guy. I don't know where the hell from. But yeah, so I saw his video. It instantly clicked with me. All the Bitcoin side of it, I understood. GameStop, I was there very early in GameStop. I was around for the whole of GameStop and Wall Street Bets. I
Nice.
was actually into meme coins in 2022 at the
Okay.
end of the 20, whatever it was, 2020, 2021 bull market. Because a lot of meme coins were pumping. I don't know how many people actually remember this, but so obviously there was Doge, there was Floki, there was Shib, there was Elon, is it Elon Doge Mars or something?
There was one called Elon Goat, Elon Do. There's a ton of them.
Yeah, there was a ton of them. And then there was some starting to happen on Solana. So this was right before NFTs went really big on Solana. There was Samoyed coin, which was
What it's like, sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to
yeah,
interrupt, but I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah. So it's called Samo, ticker Samo.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's another dog coin, right?
It was, and it's
Yeah.
supposed to be aimed after SPF. This is when he was a good guy, not a
Oh,
bad guy.
okay. That didn't
So
work out
this,
too well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they quickly changed the branding after that. They
Oh
couldn't shake
man.
the name though, which was funny.
Oh God.
I mean that coin has some dodgy links as well.
I'm sure.
But yeah, so I was around for that, so I saw kind of the birth of the meme coin industry outside of Doge, which obviously happened earlier. And yeah, I mean, it made me go down a whole rabbit hole of just meme coins in general. I found out like the first actual meme coin ever wasn't Doge. It was a coin called Barbecue Coin. It doesn't exist
Hmm.
anymore.
Oh,
Um,
not
but
surprising.
yeah. But yeah, no, that was really cool. I think that came out in 2013.
Was it what was the one called Made Safe coin? And I know that wasn't necessary. I don't know if it was classified as a meme coin at the time, but to me that definitely is a meme coin, just the name of it.
I don't. There was Safe Moon, if that's
That,
what you're talking about.
no, yeah, I've heard that one was in the 2021 thing, Bull Run. No,
Yeah.
there was one called Made Safe, and I think it was spelled like MAID. It was kind of trying to be funny, like it's a made.
Ah,
It's made safe, and that was I thought it was in the 2013 2014 zone, but I it must have been after the one you're talking about. But anyways, I think there were several coins during that time that were meme
there were,
coin-ish.
and they
Yeah.
were kind of popular. Like
Right.
this was when everyone was forking Bitcoin and calling it their own thing, and we're going to solve the blockchain trilemma by doing something, and then they just rug. And this was before ICOs, though. This is where you had to mine to earn your coins because these were all proof of work coins, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah, that
Um,
does make it more fair.
it does, it does. But they had because you could do a lot of things. The mining wasn't necessarily fair. It's not as fair as Bitcoin, if that makes sense,
I'm
because you can
sure.
change
Yeah.
every single little bit of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure.
But yeah, so I've got this sort of history of meme coins, history of GameStop, history of Bitcoin. I've got a degree in business management. Before I came to crypto, I was trading stocks. I've always been interested in finance, and I think it's because I was always interested in maths. Because once I understood like compound interest, that kind of broke my mind a bit. Because
Sure.
I was like, why on earth would you go and work a job where you gradually increase your, I don't know, your pay if you're lucky, maybe 5% a year, when you can, if you spend most of your time actually just learning to invest and making, 20% a year or just 10% a year. I mean, that's
Right.
worth more of your time than your actual job a lot of the time. So
Yep.
to me, it was like very, very obvious, very, very quickly that um, learning to invest is probably the most important thing you can do regardless of your job, unless you're going to be an elite person. But the odds of you being elite at anything and winning are very low, even if you're good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically my background.
Yeah, I think that I just touched on that. I've similar in terms of investing. Yeah, once you learn the power of investing, it can kind of consume you if you have that sort of mind for it. Um, and I think it's good also for people who may not have the greatest job to think about.
Hmm.
If you just set aside whatever you can every month into amazing assets, you could change your life relatively quickly. I think that's something that is not taught in school, and it should be.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I completely agree. I mean, it's hard to tell whether these things are on purpose or not, or they're just
Yeah.
they just happen naturally.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I mean, but also the thing is, like any financial literacy you do get at school, the only stuff I got was work hard, get paid more. That was basically it,
Yeah. Yeah.
which doesn't necessarily A, translate, and B, you know, most of the people that I know who've worked really hard and got really high paying jobs, they sacrifice a lot of time. And because they sacrifice so much time, they want to spend that money to actually enjoy themselves. So then they don't have any money really left to invest or for their future.
Yeah.
So there's this horrible cycle that people get into, whether you're poor or sort of even higher income earning.
Yeah, lifestyle creep is that's what kills people. You have to, if you are earning more money, you have to try to keep your lifestyle the same. That way you can invest more in it. The I got the flywheel effect of that get snowballs so quickly. And people don't. I don't think people who are in a shittier situation, I think, have a hard time imagining that. And then yeah, like you said, you just get caught in that cycle. But you have to. It's like working out, which I'm not. I need to exercise more. That's a scenario in my life I don't do well at. But it's like that. It's like once you get that uh, financially, I can't think of the word. When you have that duty, or it's almost like you get stronger and better at it. Is my point as you go along, and the more you want to save and invest, and it just compounds so quickly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, we've seen this in the cognisphere, just like people learning to put aside money, to also buy it regularly instead of just max bidding and watching the price, and also learning the self-reliance of putting it into self-custody. These behaviors extend far beyond just that realm. People, when you take on more responsibility and you have an active interest, I think those are the ingredients for like a fulfilling life. And you're seeing people, there's one Aon at the moment that I'm seeing a lot called AONs, I think he's called, who's doing a weight loss journey. He's trying to lose,
Oh, yep, yep.
yeah, he's trying to lose 69 pounds, I think, I can't remember if it's 69 days or something. Um, but I mean, I know Mike's lost a bit of weight and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, these are very, I've forgotten the word now. I was going to say, what's the word? Um,
See, I can't think of the word either. We're probably thinking the same word.
It's the Greek Stoicism. These are very
Yeah,
Stoic
yeah, that's a
values.
good word. Yeah,
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 so these are very Stoic values. These are very ancient principles. Yes, they're applied to the world that we live in today. And they're more technical in terms of having seed phrases, but at the same time, it's keeping a secret. It's thinking about your future. These are all very ancient principles. Working hard, even though you don't see the reward today, you will tomorrow. Um, these are timeless principles that are very important for humans to have. And I think SPX gives that to people in a fun way. Because a lot of the time when I talk
yeah.
about stoicism or something to my friends, I'm quite a young person. I'm in my 20s. They don't want to hear it. They want to go out, they want to drink, they want to talk to girls, they want to have a lot of fun. They don't want to hear anything about stoicism or anything about this. But if I tell them that they can buy a bit of a coin and give a middle finger to the guys who cause all the inflation and trouble in the world today, um, that makes them excited. That makes them happy, and then they join the community and they partake in these rituals almost. And it sounds
Yeah,
like a cult now, but not in that way. Just like
yeah,
these behaviors, they extend far beyond. I think it's beautiful, and I think SPX will have an amazing impact on people's mental and physical health, not just the culture.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So, what gives you that level of conviction on SPX?
It's definitely not one thing. I The problem with SPX or Bitcoin or anything that I find truly important in this world is that I could give you a million reasons why it's important, and each reason I could describe differently each time. Um, I think for me, the main thing that SPX is it is fundamentally a movement, and it has to be that's the fuel, if that makes sense, for the asset. It needs to be a movement. I think if it isn't, it will die out with time.
Yeah,
Um, I kind of think of it as a cultural movement. I think of Bitcoin as a technical movement. Bitcoin was the technical solution to the fiat and central banking world that we live in today. I think SPX 6900 is the cultural solution because I think I'm a Bitcoin maxi, and I think Bitcoiners have failed at educating the masses on why Bitcoin's important because most people don't care about a world reserve currency. They don't care about fiat banking. They don't care about central banks. None of this stuff. They don't understand how it affects them. They do understand that the S&P 500 keeps on going up. They do understand that the companies in the S&P 500, a lot of them are companies that they don't like, that do lots of things that they don't like, either to them directly or to other places in the world. Um, and I think of it as, I mean, I actually said this to another Aon recently. I've got a feeling that we will look back and say that SPX 6900 was potentially the second coming of Satoshi in terms
yeah.
of it being a societal immune response to a problem. So,
It's so needed. It's so like I wasn't around in the early Bitcoin culture, but I hear there's similar vibes, and that's not that is not around except in my opinion in SPX now. I feel like the early Bitcoin vibe is not there as much. It's just like a need has arisen.
yeah. I mean, I think Bitcoin's changed a lot. I think it's had to, in some ways, to survive and to onboard new people. Um, I think it depends where you look. So, because I am very, very deep into Bitcoin, there's so many different sort of echo chambers within the one echo chamber that is in Bitcoin. So you've got the Michael Saylor Moon boys that just like the price going up. You've got like the Bitcoin developers who are hardcore sort of cypherpunk and stuff, but they almost exclusively talk about technical developments, which most people aren't interested in and goes over their
Yeah.
head, which makes complete sense. Then you have the Austrian economists, so you have your like Safety Namus and other people like that who talk about the economic side of it. And yeah, I think I would be amazed if SPX 6900 didn't become more diluted over time because I think that's
Mhm.
what happens with everything. So a good example of this, besides Bitcoin, is actually the internet. So the internet was created by cypherpunks, in my opinion, anyway. And so the internet they use today is basically all protocols. So they're all open source protocols. So like when you go on your URL bar, type in HTTPS, that is a protocol in itself. That is a open source protocol, and the whole of the internet was basically built by one decentralized network of developers and people that wanted a better future. Now, over time, it did become corporatized and sort of captured into these silos of Facebook, Microsoft, etc. But the fact that the fact that it was built open at the start is why it's still open today. I think if it wasn't, we would maybe be living in more of a sort of Chinese, we can turn off your account for posting this sort of thing, and
Yeah.
various other things. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that makes sense. Yeah, there's definitely some more hardcore culture sides to Bitcoin. There's people that still do that. It's just it I think SPX brings back that fun element, and I don't know. It's unlike anything I've ever felt. And when I was more into the Bitcoin community, granted I would say I was part of the sailor class of Bitcoiners. Um it even over those 4 years it's transformed a lot to me, and all I get from the Bitcoin community now, at least maybe it's my old feed, but was just like it's almost solid into um almost like meme coin communities to a degree, like the MicroStrategy worshipers, the other treasury company worshipers, and then
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? Like they're almost like meme communities in themselves, and they each have their company that they're rooting for. It's not cool at all anymore. It's not at least in my feed. And anyways, I think that's what drew me into meme coins to begin with, because I really got into Bitcoin at the start because of the community aspect, and I feel like it's not quite the same. And yeah, anyways, that led me to SPX eventually. But
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that position. I mean, I I have this funny sort of saying. I think like Bitcoin treasury companies or Bitcoin as excuses to sell altcoins, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. I
Um,
mean,
they
that's
want the parabolic price action outside of Bitcoin, but they don't want the moral sort of repeal from the Bitcoin community. So it still needs to be Bitcoin related, if that makes sense.
it's bullshit because it's ridiculous to add like that. It's not the same level of shitcoinery going on in a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it's very selective and silly. That was one thing I was going to ask you, since you mentioned you're a Bitcoin maxi. How do you square that? And when you say maxi, I think there's different definitions of it. What is that definition in your head?
I believe Bitcoin is the best form of sound money. I believe Bitcoin was created with the right intentions from the start. I think it had the immaculate conception, which most coins don't. Um, I think, yeah, I think so. I think Bitcoin's extremely important because the need for um, digital sound money is probably the single most important human invention of all time. Um, because I mean, almost any historical period that was well known, you can just look at the monetary side of history, and it was almost all sound money at that time. You know, the fall of the Roman Empire came with coin clipping. The fall of the British Empire came with inflation. The fall of the US Empire currently is coming with inflation. You know, it's the same story on repeat. And if we can end that cycle, that is an absolute game changer for humanity, because instead of having these ups and downs of industrialization and human flourishing and technological progress, it becomes a constant. which I don't think people are mentally prepared for what that world looks like. I don't think even I am. Um, but I think it's unbelievably important. In regards to other altcoins, I think some of them are noble. I think Monero was built with the right intentions. I think Zcash might have been. I'm very skeptical of Ethereum, especially after it's moved to proof of stake and other things. And yeah, so that's what I would say. I'm also an SPX maxi as well. I'm not just a Bitcoin maxi. I don't like other meme coins.
Okay, so you're an SPX maxi in the meme coin sense. Now, how do you square the fact that SPX is built on Ethereum? And I mean, we have wormholes to Solana and Sui and so on, but how do you bridge that in your head?
I am very pragmatic. I'm not going to die on hills for no reason. So I think that the Solana blockchain probably has the best product market fit for building meme coins on top of right now. I think it makes sense to have it on other chains in case Solana goes down because it has done a lot. I think, I mean, if you're in the Bitcoin developer world, you do know that they are bringing altcoins to Bitcoin. That's coming on top of Lightning. It's coming on top of something called RGB. It's potentially coming on other layers as well. But that tech is just being built now and it's not at all ready. So that's a few years off. Um,
Do you think a
but
potential bridge could happen at that point, or
I think
more
it's
alt type
inevitable, to be
situation?
honest. I don't think I think the proof of stake nature of Ethereum is inherently centralizing. I think that's very dangerous. But again, so these are all time related issues. So I don't think that it's a threat to SPX for the next 20 years. And 20
Sure,
years is a long time in today's world.
sure.
Um, we will have built the technology to move SPX to other whatever the best product market fit is. I'm gonna take my Bitcoin Maxi hat off. It doesn't actually matter. It's whatever is best for the consumer, which is like security, privacy, decentralization, um,
Yeah,
and
it's
speed
not.
and efficiency. And
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it. It's just an idea. It's not. It doesn't have. It's not inherent to Ethereum. It happens to be originally built on it, but it could take form and shape in infinite ways.
there's loads of things you could do. So like when when Bitcoin had the when Bitcoin had its block size wars in 2017. Obviously, there was forks of Bitcoin, and
Hmm.
what would happen then is that you would get the equal amount of Bitcoin that you held in Bitcoin Cash or whatever.
Right.
So, should something happen to any of these things, you could simply exchange the amount of SPX that you had on another chain for the SPX onto another chain, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
like, there are loads of technical solutions to this problem. I don't think it's even a problem, to be honest.
Yeah.
It is good to think about these things in the long term, but right now, I think the most important things that AONs can do, honestly, is DCAing. I think that has a 10x. I was talking to Maddox about this. I think DCAing has like a 10x more impact than just like max bidding. If you've got a lot of money and you want to buy SPX, you don't want to miss out. Like
Sure.
you're arguably doing everyone a disservice and yourself and the price action by buying it all at once. Um, you're better off just DCAing each day because that low volume of DCA is literally what's brought Bitcoin to where it is today. Like no
Yeah.
other crypto asset has hardcore believers DCAing like Bitcoin. Literally nothing. I work in the industry. I've worked for an exchange. There is almost no DCA orders for altcoins. I can tell you that empirically. I can also tell you that, if you want the truth, there isn't like institutional demand for Bitcoin is still zero pretty much in the real world. It's like 0.01% of like the actual money that's out there. When you're on Twitter and you're Bitcoin Twitter, you see, oh, Bitcoin's all gone all institutional, it's been adopted. No, it hasn't, not even close.
Right. Yeah.
I've talked to people like these pension funds and big banks and stuff, and no, not even close. They've been talking about it for a while, and these things move slowly, but like there really is like almost. I mean, you can see it in the data. I think I saw today it was like 71% of Bitcoin's held by retail. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
I've seen that too. Yeah,
there's no other asset class that has that. Gold doesn't have that. Real
yeah,
estate doesn't have it. Stocks don't have it. Um, but yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think the most important things you can do is DCAing. I think the Reddit movement is probably the most important next step for all AONs to take is to migrate to Reddit and effectively bullpost. So you want to spend time on there, understanding the platform, how it works, how you can covertly shill, or just contribute outside of SPX, build a reputation, and slowly infect the masses, sort of thing. Um, yeah, I think those are the most important actions that they can take today. And obviously onboarding the people close to you. You know, every person you meet in real life and online. I think it was Batpool that said it. There's an Aeon inside everyone. You just got to bring it out.
yeah. Have you made a Reddit account yet?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Reddit for years. I've got an old Reddit account that's got, I think, like 4 years. That's got like several, like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of karma. So I'm
Wow,
using that at the moment.
that's awesome.
The thing is, I think I spoke to Banks about this. You know, Jeffrey Banks. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, this was ages ago. This was like June or July. I was on Reddit raiding like April, I think.
yeah,
March, April sort of time, because I was just testing the waters to try and figure out, okay, like, is this actually going to work? How do you do it?
yeah.
What's the most effective way of doing it? And it is amazing to see that it is happening now. Like people
Hmm.
are doing it. Aeon, I think it's Aeon Reborn.
Yeah,
Um,
killing it there.
yeah, he's doing amazing stuff. I really like
Yep,
him.
yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think those are, you know, if you're an Aeon listening to this, you should be focusing on onboarding people, getting them to DCA, um, bull posting on Reddit, and also just, you know, the reason I built my website was it's not just about getting someone to buy the coin; it's about getting them to buy in to the ideology and more. You know, the reason why Bitcoin is so popular is because people are fanatical about it. The reason why the NFL is so popular is because people are fanatical about it. You know, you need a fanatical fan base for something to become massive. You need
Yeah,
true fans, true believers.
yeah,
And I built my website just as like a funnel where people can go to one place and then find the various related things about SPX in one place. Because right now it is very scattered, and you have to be a very online Aeon to know about everything and where it is.
yeah.
You know, like the user experience isn't great in that respect. Um, but you know, that's what comes with decentralized networks.
It's also kind of fun. It's like a rabbit hole, but
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean,
yeah,
like I said, you know, I after I watched the first Murad video, I watched every single video of Murad on YouTube in a day, I think.
yeah. I think I did that too.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
yeah, I encourage everyone else to do that because the more it's good to understand what you're invested in and what you're advocating for. You know, I think the more
yeah.
you know, the better.
And that's why I started this channel is to, for one thing, at the when I first started it, there wasn't. I started back in like June. There wasn't like a ton of. I mean, there was limited spaces. There was some face doxing. Some we were doing like the short form stuff. There just wasn't a lot of conversations to watch, or really at all. So I did it. A lot of it was for me, just to talk to people, and also I thought it would be like a funnel to essentially pill yourself over and over again with tons of Aeons just talking.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I love your channel. I've got notifications on for your YouTube channel. As soon as something drops, you're the first thing I watch.
That's
Uh,
awesome. That's exactly that. You're my target audience, so I'm glad you like it.
yeah, no, I absolutely love it. You know, I think of you as kind of like the Joe Rogan of SPX sort of thing. You're like a very relatable, friendly American host who has on all of these. random people with random stories, and it's just a blast every time, and you always learn something new. And I feel like, as the viewer, I'm a very internet native kid. I grew up on the internet a lot. And when you watch podcasts, you do almost feel like this relationship to the host. You feel like you know them a bit. And it's definitely starting to happen on your channel, because I don't know how
It's
many
so weird.
episodes you've done now, but like,
Yeah,
you start to
20, I
get
think.
with someone, the more you're exposed to them, even if you're not seeing them, if that makes sense, they're seeing you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I thought about that the other day. I was like, I've got like over 3,000 hours of people watching me. That's kind of weird. Watching, listening to me. It's like, ugh, I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's crazy the amount of like the watch time every video is just like up, 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 up. Especially, I mean, Murad of course did really well, but like the hype one I released, on Saturday. Oh my God, it did almost as good as Murad's video in the first 24 hours, which was surprising to me.
Yeah, no, I love Hype as well. He's so funny. He's got such
Dude,
great character.
God, yeah, he was awesome to talk to. Him being the anime character was cool. It felt like I was talking to an anime character or something.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. He's got that sort of energy.
Yeah, if I was definitely talking to a character. It was great. Yeah, you kind of start to go into the fantasy yourself. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, I want to talk to him again. But yeah, and also the other cool thing is like I've had people reach out to me now, and people I wanted to talk to. I wanted to talk to you at some point, and I wanted to, and I mean I'm talking to Spacey on Saturday, which is pretty freaking cool. I wanted to talk to her for a long time. So
Yeah,
just
that's really cool.
just the just it's really awesome. It's crazy what happens when you just keep persisting and just keep doing things over and over again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, exactly I mean, you've literally just embodied what I said earlier, was like, you start to adopt these behaviors, and like your entire life changes. It's really crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, did you ever think that you would be doing this?
No, God, no. No. I knew I wanted to do it. I always wanted to do like a YouTube content of some sort, but I always struggled to figure out what I wanted to do, and it would never went anywhere. And I would get bored of it. You know what I mean? And also just trying to find an audience is hard as crap. So having SPX, just built-in audience right out of the gate was really nice. And then and it's fun to talk about it. And there's lots of interesting people, you know,
Yeah, yeah, no, I
and
definitely.
people willing to talk, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, I'm very jealous of your job. I think it's awesome. You get to interview the brightest minds in the whole of SPX. I think it's an amazing job.
Yeah, I hope it can actually be my job one day. We'll see.
I think it will be. I think with enough time, it definitely will be.
That'd be
I mean, it
dope.
might even be one of those where it branches out into like things that are related to SPX 6900. So like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like digital freedoms, and like I don't know, Austrian economics, or whatever sort of like vaguely related to it. Because I've seen I've seen this with Bitcoin podcasters. They're all starting to branch out now,
Mhm.
because I think they're trying to reach wider audiences.
I listen to a lot of Bitcoin podcasts, and I love the direction they've gone in. I think they're because I mean it gets a little tiring just talking about Bitcoin all the time, and I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it comes across as a cult. That's the thing as well, is like, if there's not that many other things where you join and one person talks about one thing only. So I don't know if it's necessarily always the healthiest thing to do. That's why I always like, I like to compare SPX to like lots of other things. So then people in those other things are interested, or people in SPX go and look at other things, instead of just like sitting and like regurgitating the same stuff they've been told.
SPX.
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
the
Aeon
man's dude.
Online, LOL, DCA. Like, I love these things and they're amazing, but like the the smarter we can make Aeons, the more they can say that's intellectually stimulating, and they can bring in more people from other areas.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely improved. Oh my God,
Oh,
like
it's
oh,
insane.
yeah, like the beginning of the year, middle, maybe even towards like the middle of the year, it was just kind of mantra, circle jerk. But now it's definitely way beyond. I mean, every day there's something interesting and like an initiative somebody's doing, it's so much better than it was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like what we're experiencing now. I feel like Murad's always ahead of the curve. So everything he was describing, people weren't sure about when he said it. But now, if he said that today, they'd all agree with him. So I think
Yeah.
that's like an interesting sort of dynamic. So yeah, what he's saying now will probably happen soon, if that makes sense. So when he's saying
Yeah.
like I don't know, I'm so bullish, like it's insane. It's absolutely. I know you're probably going to ask me that question because I watch all your episodes and you always ask how bullish are you?
I
And
didn't
it's
always do that. The first few I didn't, but now I do because I
okay,
just think
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
fun question. It's a fun question.
It is, it is, it is. Um,
But I mean, you could talk about it now, or I can ask you later. It doesn't matter.
uh, yeah, I mean, I I'm so bullish, but I don't want to put price targets because I don't really think they're just I don't. There's no point. It's like asking a Bitcoin and their price target. It's like it's irrelevant.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
think
I mean,
I mean
for
the community has okay. So let's go price whatever it is today was roughly around that price in December or January, I believe, roughly when we first went crazy. Uh, that to me, um, the community has at least 10x since then, since December or January, at least, and probably much more than that.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree. Like, I think it was Matt that said it recently. Was Matt Beck, and he said you don't like the price and the chart are the least interesting metrics. You want to look at all the non-financial metrics because the data that's not that is still absolutely insane. I don't know, just like the holder metrics, the social
Yeah,
engagement, the quality of content. So like the qualitative side of things, not just the quantitative.
right.
Um, it's unbelievable. I feel like we're sitting on like a I feel like I've got a time machine and I've gone back and told myself the right thing to do. And that's how I'm here today. Like, I'm so unbelievably lucky. I think everyone else here is as well because, like, I think 100 billion's like unbelievably bearish. Like,
Yeah,
unbelievably bearish because, I mean, there's a few things. So, like you said, so I work in the crypto industry. I mean, you can paint charts with liquidity as a market maker. Like the chart is fake; it doesn't really exist, and that's probably going to break a lot of people's brains. But like these like buy and sell orders, most of them are fake. Most of them don't exist. The market makers,
yeah,
and you really really can manipulate it quite a lot. And like you say, like as soon as the right conditions are there, SPX is going to absolutely fly because all the other metrics are already parabolic. We're
yep,
everything else is at all-time highs apart from the price.
yep.
I mean, that screams like
We're nowhere near. There's no FOMO or nothing right now.
no,
There's nothing. Zero.
no. But like it absolutely screams like this thing is gonna go insane. Absolutely
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I'm just so happy to be a part of it.
Oh, it's gonna be fun as shit. I think it's
I,
gonna be really fun really soon, actually.
I think it'll be terrifying if you want my honest opinion as well. Because most people aren't used to getting really rich overnight.
True, true.
And there's also like the security side of it. Obviously, like a lot of
Yeah,
AONs have been hacked recently, and this is, I made a lot of posts about it. But like, please, for the love of God, just get a hardware wallet. You can get a Trezor for $25. It's all open source, and it's
yeah,
like if you're not willing to spend $25 on securing your SPX, like you know. It's hard for people to feel sorry for you, like that sounds horrible, but look, I've lost money. I've lost money in that way, so you can't call me out for it because I've actually done it. um but like
okay.
please people just buy a cold wallet, store your stuff securely because
Okay, so
you
you
should
work in
treat
a. Sorry, go ahead. Finish what
yeah
you're
you,
saying. I was about to interrupt you. Sorry.
you should treat your SPX as though it's worth 100x what it is today. You should look
Yeah.
at that price and go, that's 100x today. How would I treat that was that. And if you're not willing to spend $25 on a hardware wallet, then I don't know what to say to you.
Okay, so here's a question for people who are just extremely lazy. Maybe it's not a lot right now, and they're just like, whatever. Would you recommend they have it sitting on a hot wallet? Would you recommend them? Would it be better for them to keep it on an exchange
Yeah.
than, yeah, I agree, than a hot
So,
wallet?
so, so this question is obviously personal, and there's different trade-offs to everything. But as someone who's worked in the industry, and I've seen every type of way of people losing their money. The most common is either like hot wallets if it's just crypto, or it's like cold wallets not done properly. So if you're not going to do cold wallet because you don't want to secure your you don't want the responsibility of
Right.
securing your seed phrase, you should put it on an exchange and you should have all of the security measures. So you should have 2FA on all of the various things, and you should, I mean, if you can be bothered to go out of your way, contact the exchange, because all exchanges have they have security measures that you can't see sometimes within the app and stuff, so that you can only withdraw $10 or $100 without having to make a phone call and do other things. Like there's like cool down measures, if that makes sense, for like
Yeah.
withdrawing funds and stuff. So yeah, if you don't want the responsibility of having a cold wallet, which by the way isn't particularly hard, it's not as
No.
scary as it looks. You just get a hardware wallet, you have a seed phrase. I do encourage people to put their seed phrase into metal just in case there's a
Yeah.
house fire or something, and
Yeah,
have
that's
it.
what I do. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Um, yeah, I do encourage them to do that. But yeah, I think like those two ends of the barbell make most sense. So like exchange, but all security measures, add-ons activated, or cold hardware wallet. Ideally, I'm a I I don't personally like Ledger. I'm just going to say it. I don't like Ledger, and I also don't like these Tangem cards I've seen recently.
Yeah.
Um, just from like a security perspective, I don't like Ledger because it's closed source, and I don't like Tangent because you don't have a screen. The reason you have a screen is to verify,
The address.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, to verify the
Yeah.
address on something that's offline, so it can't be hacked in the same way. Um, but yeah, I encourage everyone to do one of those two things.
Right, right, right. Yeah. I actually I like I have I'm somebody who I have most of my stuff on cold, but I still have some on the exchange. But I have zero in hot. And the reason why I still keep some on the exchange is just because if I just fuck something up or whatever the case may be, I don't like the idea of having it all in one way, I guess. That's why I do keep some on exchange personally, but I definitely don't have any in a hot wallet.
Yeah, no, I think that's that's your inner Bitcoiner talking. Bitcoiners has spoken about this for I don't know how long. Um, Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. I think everyone's unique in terms of how much they put on each one and this type of thing, and that there are better solutions being made because hardware wallets can be a little bit scary because it looks so alien and like not the
Yeah,
most user friendly.
definitely not.
Um,
Yeah.
but they are getting better. The Jack Dorsey's company Block, they made like a thumbprint one where you
The
scan
bit
your
key,
thumbprint, bit
bit
key
key, I think.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the bit key. There's actually something that I'm a really big fan of that's going to be coming out soon. It's made by some Australian guys. It's called Frost Snap, and it's basically you have like three wallets instead of one, and you plug them in like human centipede style into your phone, and you need all three of those to sign a transaction. But you can have
Hmm.
those three spread out. You can already do that. You can split keys. It's just not in a user friendly way like this one is. So
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I look forward to that. It'd be really sick if somebody, I know this doesn't, it's not really needed, but it'd be kind of cool if somebody just made like an SPX one. Like it only supports like ERC, XPX, and like the Solana version or something. I just think it'd be neat. I don't really know if that would make any sense, but that would be kind of cool.
I've actually messaged someone about doing that already, but they haven't replied to me.
Dude, yeah, it's like a cool idea. Like we only support SPX token from this, the specific blockchains that are supported.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, they already have it for Bitcoin. I mean, Trezor has a Bitcoin only one. I think Ledger might. I'm not sure. There's
Right.
Bitbox, which is a Swiss company, which is a company I really like for hardware wallets. They don't have SPX yet, and I've been pestering them to get it. But yeah, I mean, if you made like an SPX one and I don't know, made it gold or something of our colors and stuff, like a lot of people would buy it. A
Yeah,
lot.
it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be, yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, so I know in your profile, well, you mentioned you work at a crypto exchange. How does that give you like a different perspective of what's going on, um, from your crypto exchange background?
Um, so there's a few things. So I get to see the actual data of customers. So when people say retail isn't here yet, I can confirm that because it's in our numbers. Retail has literally not come back to crypto.
Wow. Okay.
I see that every day with daily signups and stuff. They have not come back.
Gotcha.
Um, so that's cool. We also have to interact with institutions and big financial things about Bitcoin, and honestly, a lot of them still sort of don't take us seriously. No matter what Bitcoin Magazine or Pete Rizzo or these people say, Bitcoin is not taken serious in the real world. Never mind
Yeah.
SPX 900 or any other token. Um, so that's something to remember, which is good. It means we're early. It
Yeah.
means we're
That's a
early.
good thing for sure.
The internet. I mean, you go back and see the TV interviews of people talking about the internet, and they're laughing, say, "Why on earth would I want to go online to order my groceries or order a pair of shoes?" And
Yep.
now the biggest company in the world is at like one of the biggest companies in the world is at Amazon, and it's like, yeah, it's insane.
Yep.
I mean, all the biggest companies in the world are actually internet companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
It's wild.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, being early is scary, but if you're smart and know what to look at, uh, you can be pretty comfortable, I think.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I guess that is nice having that data. Kind of gives you some extra insight for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So there's that data. There's speaking to banks, pension funds, yeah, all these types of things. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, so the security side of it as well. So like, we get people all the time. We get hackers, obviously. We're probably the most attempted hacked industry in the world. You have like North Korea and other hacking groups actively trying to hack crypto exchanges 24/7. You're always under a threat. There's like a million, there's like a million threats at one second. So
Oof.
security is very important. But yeah, like you said, we only advise cold storage if you know what you're doing, or with someone that knows what they're doing, or or exchange with all of the security measures on. I think that's the best. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's probably it from the exchange side of things I can think of. I mean, the other thing that I was going to say as well, which is related to SPX, is trying to market Bitcoin to normal people is very hard. No matter what Michael Saylor or Jack Mallers says online, most people still don't relate to these things necessarily, and they don't necessarily equate the problems they have today with lack of sound money or whatever. Like that's a big leap for most people.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think SPX 6900 is going to be unbelievably important for Bitcoin adoption because it instills all the same sort of mantra and behaviors that Bitcoiners do. They DCA, they cold store, they spread the word online and in person. Um, but it's got a better product market fit than Bitcoin. Everyone understands what flip the stock market means pretty much. So you
Yeah.
know whereas everyone, if you go say, oh, Bitcoin's going to flip gold, or it's gonna become the new world reserve currency, they look at you like you're crazy.
Like what? Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. S- um, Speaking of that, do you buy going back to Bitcoin for a minute? Do you kind of buy into the idea that Bitcoin will be essentially the apex store of value, and over time everything will reprice in Bitcoin. Essentially, hyper Bitcoinization, the dollar will fade away, or do you think there will always be fiat to some degree, or what do you think about that?
Um, so I don't think this is going to happen overnight. I think Bitcoin will become the main store of value probably. Um, yeah, so I think there'll be two things that are going on. So liquidity will flow from traditional assets into non-traditional assets, like resistance assets. Jeff Park talks about this with the resistance assets and the compliance assets. So I think yeah, obviously gold's going to get a big bid, Bitcoin, SPX, that sort of thing. Um, sorry, what was the question? I've just gone completely blank.
Yeah, no, like what I was saying is like, well, I'm talking about way in the future, like
Yeah, oh, hyper
hyper
Bitcoinization.
Bitcoinization. Yeah, like will everything be priced in Bitcoin? Will the dollar and other fiat essentially fade away?
So I think we'll go to a dual currency world first. So I think there'll be, I think everyone will be using stable coins and Bitcoin, all around the world. I I don't know how that will play out in other countries like China and Russia that won't want them using USDT. Um, so there's also a theory that people always say, like Tether and stable coins are going to like preserve dollar hegemony into the future. I don't
Yeah,
believe this. The reason I don't believe it, Safety did a talk at the most recent Bitcoin conference on this. So right now, all the other world central banks they have their own currencies, but they have to hold U.S. Treasuries. So the U.S. Treasuries are basically like the hard assets of that currency, if that makes sense.
yep,
So the demand for US dollars is still the same. It's just allocated in a different way. It's allocated by the central bank in their own currency. If everyone else uses US dollars on a blockchain, that doesn't increase the demand for US dollars. It makes it direct to consumer instead of central bank to consumer.
right, right. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I think it'll be both. I think over time people will want Bitcoin more because there's a theory that I've forgotten the name of. It's like the hardest money wins over time.
Hmm.
So if when you go to third world countries, and sometimes they even have like US dollar prices or they have their own currency prices, they want the US dollars every time, even though it's worth the same on paper. They want it more. I think that'll be the same with Bitcoin. So merchants will want Bitcoin more, and because you can accept Bitcoin at basically on Lightning at like one Satoshi fee, which is like 0.0001%. Uh, that's like nothing compared to like traditional payments. So there is a bit of a gap where people are accepting it for that. I think with stablecoins, that'll probably bring it down to zero again, I'd imagine. Um, but yeah, I think we're moving into this dual currency world. I think the US will have to back the dollar by Bitcoin for its own security. Because if they don't, someone else will, and that'll become the hardest currency kind of. Um, But yeah, so dual world currency, and I think hyper Bitcoinization will happen with time, but I think there will be blips of, it's going to take time for people to figure out that that is the case, and they're going to go to other assets first. They're going to go to SPX 6900, they're going to go to gold, they're going to go to GameStop, maybe they're going to go to, these
Sure,
these other assets just to try to escape because they don't know how to.
right.
Um,
Well,
but I think
and
in the
even
end.
sorry, go ahead.
I think in the end, Bitcoin will become the main store of value. But I don't think that that necessarily means that like I think the US dollar is really hard because these timelines I have no idea. I think anyone who tells you otherwise is lying as well. Um,
Well, and just because Bitcoin is the apex store of value, that doesn't mean there's not going to be any other things that store value that wouldn't go beat Bitcoin over certain time frames.
oh, definitely, definitely. So
So,
Bitcoin becomes the new sort of cost of capital. So
right.
when you have something with a fixed supply, so in theory, if you have a currency with a fixed supply, the currency deflates at the rate of like technology.
Technology, yeah.
Exactly. So this is the sort of Jeff Booth sort of talking point.
No, I did Jeff Booth made it crystallized it for me so well. And was it the something tomorrow, the price of tomorrow or something like that? That book
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
was
his book.
amazing. I love that book.
Yeah. So yeah, if you live in a Bitcoin world, everything gets cheaper by the rate of technological progress.
Yes.
Yeah, we only see it in today's world and technology because it's the most deflating thing. But when our parents, not when our grandparents were around, like house prices were actually falling a lot of the time. People
Hmm.
don't know that they weren't
Hmm.
rising. So yeah, everything will fall to sort of cost of production. And I think people will allocate Bitcoin because it is the money into business ventures that obviously exceed the rate of innovation.
Yeah, yeah. And then and I think that's where things like SPX 6900 will flourish, even in a world like that, because there's always going to be, 'cause Bitcoin will be just Bitcoin at that point. So there'll always be a need to rebel and a want to start something new. That'll always
Yeah,
be the case.
I think SPX 6900. This is going to sound crazy, but bear with me. I think this SPX 6900 could flip Bitcoin uh,
Okay.
in the short term because of what it represents. Because the S&P 500 is almost at like, I don't know what it is, like 60 or 70 trillion right now, and people are really really starting to get fed up with it, and they want to take their money out of it because when you invest in index funds, you don't even get like the voting rights in the companies, and they're all owned by BlackRock anyway, through like investment accounts and stuff. And the companies, like Meta and stuff, they sell you ads based on what you were talking to your grandma about because they hear it on your phone and like all this type of stuff. Like people really do not like this, but they like things that are funny and they like things that are human. So SPX 6900 appeals to that. So I do genuinely believe that SPX 6900 could suck liquidity out of the S&P 500 to the point where it could flip it, or at least even if it doesn't gets like 1 or 10%, that's
Yeah.
enough of a dent on it for the world order to fundamentally change. And I think for countries and things to maybe start to engage in practices that make sense for the people instead of constantly, bailing out the bank, privatizing the gains and socializing the losses, sort of thing. When
Yeah.
there's a cost to it, a physical cost, not just a political, or when there's an actual monetary cost to it, I think that's when they feel it.
Yeah. I mean, it is theoretically possible.
Yeah. So the way I imagine it is, Bitcoin's obviously above SPX now. SPX could go above Bitcoin because it takes all the dissatisfaction from society, and the S&P 500, and then as hyperbitcoinization happens, uh, I don't know what would happen to SPX 6900 necessarily, but maybe they'd hold it. Maybe it's like a store of value, but it's not a money, if that makes sense. And then they
Right.
convert it to Bitcoin when they want to buy things or to dollar stable coins or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wrote an article about this. I think SPX 6900 is Bitcoin's best friend. It's a
Yeah.
product market fit like brother, um, that brings the masses over right next to Bitcoin so that they can go there whenever they want to or whenever they feel attracted to, sort
Well,
of thing.
it's really cool because I get an opportunity to talk about Bitcoin some, which I'm very passionate about as well, in a
Mm,
more fun and to people who may have never heard it before. So
mm.
there is some synergy between the two for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a big problem as well. This is something else I was going to say. Having worked at a crypto company, a lot of people don't know what Bitcoin is. Everyone, like, they think, oh, it's a big, like a slow blockchain that's only has a lot of value because it was the first one. Like,
Right.
I'd argue most of crypto Twitter actually believes that,
So
which
off.
is insane. But I mean, yeah. Um,
I
SPX,
mean, the biggest selling point for Bitcoin is there's no central authority. It's the most decentralized, not even close. And yeah, there's no issuer, and it's a fixed supply, and the monetary system is known and understood, and it doesn't change, and that's it. That's why it's got value. That's why it does so well.
yeah, and just because it's simple doesn't mean it's not unbelievably important.
Right.
That sounds a bit simple to some people because it doesn't have all these DeFi, NFTs, and programmable stuff, whatever. I mean, it doesn't need to. Sound money doesn't need these things, and
Right.
it's an extremely important invention. But yeah, SPX 6900 is, I think, the best possible marketing campaign for Bitcoin possible. Um, Yeah, I think Bitcoiners should embrace SPX 6900 with open arms for this reason. Um,
Yeah, it's not a I don't I there's it's not a competition between the
no,
two.
there's no
We're
competition.
and right now definitely not. We're in it's different ballparks right now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
Bitcoin's yeah.
different market caps, different stages of growth. Um, Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is starting to go into its like business side. So like what we've actually seen more recently, the institutional side isn't institutional. It's actually all Bitcoiners that have business are adding Bitcoin to their business. So they're building it up on their balance sheets and stuff like that as a treasury reserve asset or whatever they want to call it. So that's definitely happening. But yeah, SPX 6900 is very, very retail focused, which I think is a good thing in lots of
Absolutely.
ways. Um, yeah.
What's the most interesting thing happening in the cognosphere right now?
uh,
That's kind of a hard one.
I mean, no, for me, it's actually very, very obvious.
Okay.
I'm not sure, it's still early to know like how big it's going to become. I think it's obviously the Reddit movement. Like
Okay.
us winning on another social platform would be immense. Um, and Reddit is where Bitcoin, it's where Bitcoin really became popular. Like our Bitcoin became very popular. I think it was like 2013, 2014. And then obviously GameStop became very popular on Reddit. Doge became very popular on Reddit. I mean, just investing in general, like a lot of the investment advice you find online comes from Reddit and stuff. I think Reddit really is the new frontier. Um, but I think we're super early to that, and I don't think that we're necessarily guaranteed to succeed there. We just have to persist forever.
I think we'll eventually succeed there. I don't know how fast it happens, but I do see our subreddit. It keeps ticking up every time I look at it, so it's grown a lot. I first joined it like in December or January, and we had like a little over 2K, I think. Now we're sitting at about 6,000 people in the Reddit, and and then also but it wasn't the same time. It was just a few posts in the subreddit. People weren't like trying to go to other subreddits and like raid things. It's nothing like that then, you know.
Yeah, yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, I think Reddit is yeah, Reddit's the future. I think the DCA thing is very important as well because it separates us from other coins.
Yeah,
Um,
for
yeah,
sure.
I think those are like my two most important sort of core pillars, I would say.
Cool, cool. What's the how would you pitch SPX to a colleague or fellow crypto professional?
Um, so when I pitch Bitcoin to other people, I don't just pitch them Bitcoin. I get to know about them, what they're interested in, sort of thing. Because one thing doesn't necessarily work for someone else, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I mean, en masse, I would say the social movement side of it. You can compare it to other things like GameStop, Occupy Wall Street, Bitcoin. I would say that it's all the nice sort of decentralized sort of language. I would talk about. I would definitely like for the masses. I talk about it being not just a movement, but a movement against traditional finance, but like an active alternative. So a lot of the time, when you get social movements, they die out because they get like they run out of funding or they get like co-opted by like federal agents who act maliciously. And we don't have those problems, which is amazing. Occupy Wall Street was literally infiltrated by feds and who escalated to become violent. At which point, the police came in and pepper sprayed everyone. Um, with GameStop, it was on centralized rails, so
Yeah.
it was shut down by Robinhood and whatever stockbroker there was. But not even just Robinhood. The what you call it? The stock market can actually halt the stock. Like it's not just the platforms, so they can halt it when there's a lot of activity and stuff. Um, but so far anyway, I don't think Bitcoin has been successfully captured. They've tried in every way imaginable, and I don't think the crypto bros even know this, but like they've obviously it's been heavily attached to like criminals in the early days of Bitcoin with like Silk
Yeah.
Road and things. Um, it was, I mean, there was a whole like, I would argue a whole propaganda campaign against it being like bad for the planet, which is just utter nonsense
Oh yeah.
because Bitcoin mining by definition just uses electricity, and whether that's bad for the planet depends on its source, and where its source comes from is up to the miner, not Bitcoin. So, yeah, I mean that was another one. I mean, they also tried to, I mean, they have done. They've embedded like illicit legal imagery in Bitcoin and stuff.
Oh yeah. I've heard about that. Yeah.
To try and take it down. They've tried so many ways to take Bitcoin down and it's failed. So these online distributed assets can't be taken down and they can't really be infiltrated in the same way because we are online. When we're kind of harmless in that respect, we don't take physical action, so they can't use that against us. We can't be censored because we're on decentralized rails. They can they can block it on Coinbase or whatever, but everyone's got a Phantom wallet. They can always just get it on that and other things. So it's it's a product. I think the best thing that I would say is like, you know, SPX 6900 is trying to flip the stock market. It's a social movement. That would be my main pitch. But like the whole game theory and product market fit of it is what I'd talk about next because it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Where do you see the movement in, say, 5 years?
Um, so I think history is speeding up. So I think stuff, I mean, you already see it with the news cycle nowadays, everything's happening so much faster. Um, Honestly, in 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised if nation states had some influence on SPX 6900, which might shock a lot of people. But if you understand how like dollar hegemony works via the International Monetary Fund or the European Central Bank or the Bank for International Settlements, um, sorry, yeah. So if you understand how the dollar works in those terms, you kind of understand how a lot of the third world and developing parts of the world artificially been held down through monetary policy. And I mean, a lot of the way that they do that is that they export to S&P 500 American companies, and a lot of these countries don't like that. And if there's not if there's a financial component of rebelling against that, they're going to be actively interested in it. I mean, you want my honest opinion? I think China and Russia already look at SPX 6900. I'd be shocked if they weren't, because this is technically a movement that threatens dollar hegemony via the S&P 500, which is a very, very important part of obviously global financial markets, but like the actual productive component of it. Like almost all businesses in the world use Facebook, Instagram, and Microsoft, and all these types of things. And if anything threatens that, like that really does threaten the US empire, like in the digital and physical realm. And I'm not saying like, oh, US is only bad and China, Russia good. I'm not stupid. Like,
Yeah.
but I do think that countries will look at SPX 6900 as an act of rebellion as well as just Bitcoin to US dollar hegemony. And I think the best thing that the US could do is embrace it. So I think if they don't, that puts them in a much weaker position. If they acknowledge that, I don't know, so some of the stuff maybe isn't the best that they do and stuff, and maybe actively work on that. SPX 6900 wouldn't exist if the world was great and the S&P 500 acted morally and nice, if that makes sense. I really,
Yeah.
I really do think SPX 6900 is like a societal immune response to the sort of cancer and disease that we live in today, caused by like sort of fiat money printing regulation and like all these other types of things.
Yeah. So yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that. Is I actually wrote down to bring this up. I saw that post you made about saying you thought other countries would take a position in SPX as a act of rebellion, essentially against the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think they would be actively buying it, and that would
Um,
be their um, angle is that's the reason why they would do it.
yeah, potentially. I mean, if you look at everything through warfare lens for a minute, so there's like two sides of it. There's obviously like the human cultural side of it. So you could get like people, you could get countries that want to like continue the sort of like the online presence and movement of SPX 6900, but you also do want the sort of supply dynamic warfare side of it. So like you don't want all the supply to be held by Coinbase to the point where they could like artificially manipulate the price through that,
Yeah.
and things like that. So like it's actually a good thing in lots of ways. I think I don't think SPX 6900 is American. I think it's global, and I think it should be distributed. I want people to hold it. I don't want countries to hold it, but I'm not going to stop them. This is part of being
Yeah.
in an open, decentralized society. Is everyone has like equal rights online, pretty much.
Right. Um, what's your most favorite meme in SPX?
Uh, that's a really difficult one. Um, so there's one that I always use, and it's very simple, and that's the reason I like it. And I think it kind of embodies almost everything that we sort of talk about. And it's an image of the guy, like the traditional tradfi bro wearing his necklace thing, his ID card with his coffee cup,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and he's like he's like what does he say? I think he says something like good luck, or it's like take the safe bet of 10%. Uh,
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and let me just find the photo because I've literally got it on my phone somewhere. But yeah, it's the one of the Aeon girl saying like no, and it's like plus 6,900%,
I
and
think
it's like
I think I've seen that one. That's good.
yeah, and then it's just the TradFi bro saying like or don't risk it all on that, like take the easy route out of like 10%.
Oh my God, yeah,
That's my favorite one. Just because I think it applies to everything. Like, there's levels to these things. There's like obviously just like that level of like the TradFi bro telling you what to think. There's also the level of the TradFi bro like representing the elite class of like, we know better than you. How dare you go against what we say? There's just so many levels to these sorts of things, I think, when you look into them. That's why memes are so like powerful. And I mean,
yeah.
during Occupy Wall Street and GameStop and Bitcoin, I mean, memes are like quintessential to like the community's communication. Being able to communicate like a a, a complex idea in a funny, short way is really an amazing development.
So that just sparked a question for me. When you were early in GameStop, is that movement for GameStop in particular, is that essentially dead at this point, or are there people still into it, or is it kind of dying? I don't really keep up with it at all. I was just kind of curious.
It depends what you call dead. There's a lot of people who still hold it because they think that it's going to go up, and they think that the hedge funds that had short positions still hold them, and all they've done is taken out debt to cover those positions, and they're hoping that the price will eventually go down so much that they can eventually get out. Um, so that's what some people believe that's happening. Other people have obviously sold because they don't think it's going to happen. Um, I mean, there was also the takeover by, I think, is he called Ryan Cohen or something, the new CEO.
Yeah,
And then I think he's kind of diluted the company a bit because like Roaring Kitty, who was the main leader of the GameStop saga. He
Hmm.
had a thesis of basically, it was obviously, this was before everyone realized that it was overshort by 133%. So that he realized that the price was too low because the amount that video games were getting bought online versus in person wasn't related to the actual price at the time. So they like people were still buying like 40% of video games in person. So that doesn't make sense why GameStop should be down 90% or whatever it was. So that was his thesis at the time. And then obviously others realized that the companies were short like over 100% of the stock. Um, but yeah, that's basically what I'd say is like it's not dead, but it's not alive. And I think what Ryan Cohen's done, becoming the new CEO and buying Bitcoin, d- deters from Roaring Kitty's original thesis of just selling video games. And what he's done is what I see like people that come and create altcoins do is they come in something that's popular and they try and make money by creating some bullshit reason why it should be worth more money. He's just gone and bought Bitcoin and said, "Oh, we're a Bitcoin company." It's like, no, you sell video games. Get good at selling video games, and then maybe like talk about, I don't know, if you believe it or not, that these hedge funds are still massively short, and that's why people should buy the stock.
Yeah, that's see the way you explained that it feels like a very particular moment in time.
Yeah,
Like it's just kind of like it had its fun. It's not it's not a good vehicle either. It's actually a terrible vehicle to rage against the machine at this point.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
It's
all
just
centralized. You can dilute it through like stock and stuff.
yeah, and they did that bad, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they did. They did. I mean, he also got very rich off it, I think, which I think a lot of GameStop holders don't like. Um, I
Yeah,
found the meme,
it's
by the
yeah.
way.
Go ahead.
So the TradFi guy says, "You're fucked when the music stop. Let's schedule a call." And it's got S&P 500 with a plus 5% year-to-date portfolio. And then it's the Aeon girl in the business suit saying no. And then it's plus 82,173%.
I've seen that. That one's good.
That's my favorite one.
Oh God. Man, some people are just like so passionate about doing what has always been. Don't you dare think otherwise.
Yeah, and that is the real cult.
It's
You know,
true, but it's not. But people will say, "Well, this is just what we do. This is what you do." And it's yeah, I agree with you, but whenever you're saying, even if you are right or make sense, if you're not a part of the overwhelming majority, you're the crazy one.
yeah, yeah. No, that's always the case. That like anyone who's worked in tech kind of knows that. Anytime you're early as an entrepreneur or anything, you have to embrace the storm. But I think everyone in SPX 6900 is already kind of like that. And when I think of it like this, when SPX 6900 is cool to the masses, that is when they will come. They're not even aware of it yet. Once they're
No.
aware of it and then they think it's cool, then it's like game over.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna get fun. Um, uh, so I will, if you want to, do you want to elaborate any more on how bullish you are, or do you have any other thoughts on that?
Um, I think everyone in today, like no matter who you talk to, everyone feels like something's wrong or something's off. They don't necessarily know what it is, but they feel like something's wrong. And I think this is maybe mainly in the Western world, but um, they all. I think a lot of people are scared about the future, um, and I personally think the future is extremely bright. You just have to know where to look because most of it's dark. But if you know where to look, it's extremely bright. Bitcoin potentially solves the oldest problem in humanity's history of money supply. You have so there's something that I'm a big fan of, and because X is becoming, I don't know, I think X is becoming worse by the day at the moment. Just like I see things getting censored and like all types of stuff. But there's something I like called Noster. I'm not sure if you've heard of that.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Noster. I think it's very early still, and it's not very user friendly. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Nostr, so that potentially solves like decentralized online communication. Um, I'm a big fan of like anything that's cypherpunk. Like cypherpunk tech, I think fixes most of today's problems. I do genuinely believe that. I think if we have those sorts of things where you can everything's open source, you don't have algorithms that are designed to like enrage you and keep you addicted, then people will actually talk to each other more, go outside, touch grass, like be in a community and stuff. Um, so yeah, I think the future is extremely bright. You just have to know where to look. I think SPX 6900 is a part of the components that will make this future a reality. Yeah, I mean I would encourage AONs to read. Reading has really changed my life, and I didn't really used to read much until about 3 years ago. I'd honestly probably read about 8 books
Yeah,
before 3 years ago, and it's completely changed my life. So like, I've recommended. I think Murad said this, and a few others have said this, but I've got you had Tony on, Tony Moore, and there was and Tans obviously. I've got those two guys reading The Sovereign Individual at the moment, and they're really
nice.
enjoying that. I'm not sure if you've read it.
I haven't read that yet. I've heard about it before, and I just need to read it. Just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, it's amazing, honestly. Like, I think the time we're living through right now is like the exact description of it as well.
Yeah,
So I'd encourage people to read that. Um, yeah, I would just encourage Aeons to read. Like, I'm gonna add a book section to my website of like my recommended books, and I encourage anyone else who's got any recommendations to tell me, and I'll read it and add it, sort of thing. But yeah, I'd encourage them to read. I think the smarter, the richer, smarter, and more physically strong we all individually can become, the more of an impact we can have on SPX and everyone around us. I think that's really important.
absolutely. I think Price of Tomorrow is an incredible book too, and the Bitcoin Standard. Have you read that?
Yeah, yeah, Bitcoin Standard's brilliant. Yeah. Um,
I don't agree with all of it, like especially the altcoin rage kind of part, and also or kind of dogmatically against anything other than Bitcoin bits in there. And I also don't necessarily agree with the art part, where he pretty much says all new art's not good. At least that's how I took it. But it,
yeah, yeah. I think with those things, he's kind of reaching for things to confirm his thesis, if that makes sense.
yeah, it was a little much there at the end, but
Like, I think,
most of it is great.
yeah, like I think what he's saying is possible. I just don't think he's
Yeah,
provided enough evidence that that is true, if that makes sense. Like sometimes correlation isn't causation. Um,
right.
yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I think yeah, they should read. So there's a few books. Have you read the Genesis book?
mm-mm.
Not the Bible. It's a Bitcoin book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, I haven't.
Yeah. So it's amazing. So it's about Bitcoin was not the first attempt at like digital cyber cash. This has been going on since the 70s. The cypherpunks have been talking about this on the mailing list literally since the 70s. And there's been many failed attempts at Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Um,
I know of hash cash and
yeah.
yeah, several of like atom back stuff back in like what the 90s or something. That's as far as I know of it going back. I didn't know there was stuff before that though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a whole timeline. So the Genesis book is a brilliant book that I
Oh,
recommend.
I'd like to read that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Sovereign individual, I definitely say. I think if you're financially minded, I think Broken Money by Lynn Alden is an amazing book
Yeah, that
because
is good. I forgot about
it's
that.
it's like the Bitcoin standard but slightly more professional, and it's
Yep.
not biased. It's not Bitcoin's right, you idiot. It's more like here's Bitcoin, here's fiat. you know.
Yeah.
There's Hidden Repression by Alex Gladstein. He's a Bitcoiner. I think he's chief strategy officer of the Human Rights Foundation, and he writes a brilliant book about how the IMF basically controls third world countries through monetary policy. That's an amazing book that I recommend to people. There's like Cypherpunks by Julian Assange. I think that's brilliant.
Hmm.
The whole, the whole WikiLeaks saga. I think that's brilliant.
Yep.
That SPX should be interested in. I think they should be interested in the Occupy Wall Street movement. I think they should read books, watch documentaries on it. Same with GameStop. Um, there's another book I really, really like, that is by, do you know Naval Ravikant?
Hmm.
He's quite famous in the tech world. His brother's actually in SPX 6900, which is hilarious, and he's like a VC guy, and he's got a book. I think it's called the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, and that's basically a collection by this guy of all of his tweets over a certain period of time, and these are
Oh,
like
okay.
foundational principles for sort of life and business, and I think they're really, really applicable to the AONs journey in SPX 6900. I think that's a really good starter book, for guys to read. Um, but yeah, I've become a reading maxi recently because when I watch podcasts, an hour later I forget what I've listened to. And
Ah,
when I read blogs, I forget what I've read after I've read it. Whereas when I read books, I occasionally pause and think about what I've read, and I don't get distracted by notifications. Um, and I don't know, maybe I think about it before I go to bed, sort of thing, and like it really sticks in my mind. So I'm very much become a reading maxi recently.
that's awesome. Yeah, I should probably read more. I read more than I used to. Well, here's the thing. I don't really read it because I it makes me sleepy almost. So I usually do Audible, which is
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
not, yeah.
I mean, I think everyone's different, you know.
Yeah.
However you learn is up to you, sort of thing. But yeah, for me, books is definitely important.
Awesome.
But yeah, like The Sovereign Individual is a hard book to read. So yeah, I think audiobook is slightly easier, for example. I've got my
Yeah, I'd
dad.
probably do that for that one.
Yeah, yeah.
I get so distracted too. When I read, I'm like I have a bad tendency of like I'll read a page and then be like, what the fuck did I just read? I gotta read again. Oh, what did I
Yeah,
read? I do like 10 times or something. I'm like, I just can't read
yeah,
anymore. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. So I mean I could read, but it's just like I don't know. I get so distracted. But Audible, I listen to it and I get so much I can digest it way quicker that way. I learn
yeah.
better that way,
That
personally.
is cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no. But yeah, so those are the books I'd recommend. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, like those sort of maybe Edward Snowden as well as another one I'd recommend to people to learn about that sort of whole saga. Uh,
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
sort of
yeah.
state versus individual things, because there's all of these like lessons that we can draw from these events that are absolutely, in my opinion, relevant to SPX 6900 and its mission. Um,
Yeah.
And yeah, and I always say this, but like Bitcoiners should learn about SPX 6900, and Aeon should learn about Bitcoin because I think they're very important to each other. Um, and they're not like you say, they're not competitors.
Agreed. Agreed. Definitely a lot of synergy there for sure. Do you have any final thoughts or anything else you'd like to add? Or
Uh, no, I mean, I want to say thank you to a lot of people. I want to say thank you to, I mean, Tony Moore actually inspired me to want to come onto this. So
nice,
shout out to him and his website. It's awesome.
nice.
Shout out to all the early guys who actually made SPX 6900 what it is today, because without them, it wouldn't exist. And I actually think the world would be a worse place if it didn't exist. So thank you to all of them. Thank you to all the guys that are actively in the SPX 6900 team behind the scenes who work on the exchange listings. Um, they know who they are. Shout out to them. Um, Shout out to you because I think your podcast is amazing and it keeps me entertained and I really enjoy it. Um,
Thanks, thanks.
yeah. Shout out to the other guys, the Flip the Stock Market guys. They do a cool podcast. Um, and shout out to every single Aeon because without you, we wouldn't be anything. And it's literally down to all of your actions. Every single second of every single day, your actions have an impact. And if you choose to contribute that to SPX 6900 in a really meaningful way, that's probably the way that you can make the most impact on your life monetarily, sort of physically, mentally, like through relation. I think I think it's an amazing vehicle outside of just becoming rich. I think people should make
Mhm.
the most of it while it lasts, because this community is going to become a lot bigger, and
Yep.
it's going to be harder to talk to everyone in the same way that you can right now.
Oh, yeah, I
Um,
know. Sorry, yeah, yeah. You're so right about that.
yeah,
You're
it's
so right.
not really nice when things become diluted. So I went to the most recent Bitcoin conference, and they had JD Vance and all these types of things there, and it just felt a little bit soulless,
Yeah.
um, which isn't nice.
That's the vibe I get now. Ugh.
Yeah, the problem is they kind of have to. You look at big companies; they're all soulless. Big companies, big money. It's all kind of soulless.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the only way to rebel against that is the individuals that give it soul. So we need to do that. And I encourage every Aeon to think about how they can uniquely contribute to the cognosphere. So if we all do the same thing, it's not necessarily as effective as if we all do different things. Because I think of it as like I think of SPX 6900 as like a massive startup accelerator, and there's just all these entrepreneurs that are trying all these different things, and they're like throwing shit at the wall, and when something sticks, it works really well. Like your podcast done really well, Flip the Stock Market podcast doing well, Murad's obviously doing well, like Maddox's DCA movement's doing really well, like Jeffrey Banks and the other guys who've done the Reddit movement's doing really well. um
Yeah, it's amazing those little sparks, and then you see where it goes. And sometimes it takes off, sometimes it doesn't.
Exactly. That is the beauty of like a decentralized open market. Like you never know what you're going to get, and it's this sort of decentralized hive mind that can. I mean, this is why I think we might flip the stock market, is
I mean,
because
we've already got three professional athletes advertising SPX. No, they're not. It's not the most popular sports of all time, but it's still really cool that's happened.
yeah. I mean, it's the only other place I've seen that is Bitcoin again. I mean, there's so many similarities. Like if 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 SPX 6900 is like the closest thing since Bitcoin. In my opinion, it probably should be number two, which puts it at like 400, 500 billion market cap. That's today. That's not even like
Right.
including other things.
And all the
So
debasement. Yeah.
like I say, I'm so bullish. I think 100 billion is FUD.
Ah, there you go. 100 billions FUD. Yeah, I actually spoke with, well, I haven't released this one yet, but anyways, Krishna, um, he was he was like he was like $1,000 by the end of next year, 69 trillion in about 4 years. I'm like, okay, that sounds great.
The funny thing is, we all laugh, but we're all slightly scared because we do think it's potentially possible. We don't think it's
Yeah,
likely, but we are like, I think it's possible. Yeah, I don't know. I think $100 is like kind of like every day that SPX 6900 survives and expands,
yeah,
it just becomes more likely. So like you've got this bar chart of like likely to not likely, and every day it's getting more and more likely.
yeah. I mean, I didn't see us coming to this far and getting where we are now. 6 months ago. It's hard to know, but uh, I know we're gonna do well. I know that much. So how well, how fast, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same with Bitcoin. Like Hal Finney said in the early days, like if you map it out, like um, Bitcoin should be worth about 10 million a coin.
Yeah,
If it takes on, I think it was like the whole money market. And yeah, I mean, I still think it's possible that we do flip the stock market. I think it is possible. I think
absolutely.
crazier things have happened in history.
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other, I actually made a tweet about this one time, and I was feeling very. I was actually kind of annoyed with people because I think it was after somebody being like a dick about a tweet somebody did just saying they're stupid or whatever, and I'm like, it's just so sad to me that people have lost the ability to believe in something like literally that basic. Like the idea of people coming together and trying to flip the stock market and even having a possibility of success, they can't even fathom that that it's, I mean, people back in the day, they believed in like Greek gods and all this badass shit to lead them into battle and like all this cool, and you believed enough to get on the Mayflower to come to America or whatever it is. And people can't believe in like just buying a coin and DCAing and doing really, in the grand scheme of things, not, it's just we've become so impotent. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of pathetic that we can't even believe in that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think, yeah. I mean, the US, you guys fought a civil war over like a 1%, 2% tax. Like, I don't
Yeah.
people are so soft nowadays.
It's
Um,
ridiculous. Yeah.
yeah, I think like Murad says, we need more counterculture. The world needs it. Um, like it's like the meme of like hard times create strong men, strong men create easy times or whatever. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
and I think SPX 6900 is like a, a vehicle for the strong men to lift us out of this problem, and it just provides an alternative. So I was watching an Occupy Wall Street documentary, and like they don't have a way of like funding themselves or like there's no way of like mass appeal. But like SPX 6900 is just like the perfect product market fit. I think of
Yeah.
it like it's like an evolution, if that makes sense. You have the evolution of money to Bitcoin, and you have like the evolution of like culture. And I think
Yeah.
SPX 900 is kind of like the evolution of culture with a really good product market fit where we can rebel without being actively violent, and we can be anonymous, we can be distributed across the world. um, it's amazing, and we can hold our assets secretly in places that they don't know. That's so important.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's such a big deal. And I think part of the issue is in modern times, we're all and it's too cozy. You can get cozy and being trampled on in modern times. And I think that's one of the big issues and why people are so like, okay, leader, tell me what to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, this is one point where I maybe do slightly agree with Safety and a Moose. Like
yeah.
there's a famous quote from one of the communists during the USSR, and he was like, I think it might have been Lenin. He was like, 50% of the way to create a communist country is having a central bank, and I do kind of agree with that because the effects of stealing the wealth from people and being able to control government to say whatever it is. I'm pretty apolitical nowadays. I don't believe in like left or right or whatever, but um, but like yeah, like there's been this continuous and gradual uh, degradation of our rights,
Yeah.
especially in the physical world, especially the digital world. Sorry. You have these massive contracts of terms and conditions that no one's ever going to read, and as a result, you literally like sell your soul to the devil, as it were. They sell all your data, they can track, they can do this and that. Inflation. I mean, the government actively lies to your face with inflation. It's absolutely insane. Like the definition of inflation has literally changed continuously. Now it's a basket of goods that they can change whenever they want. So they can take whatever good inflated the least and say this is the inflation for the entire economy. That is
Yep.
insane. That is
Yeah.
like, that's what you'd expect in North Korea. Kim Jong Un stands up and says, "Oh, chickens," because chicken's only gone up 2%. The actual inflation is 2%. Meanwhile, like petrol's up 10,000%. That's the sort of world we're living in. And I'd encourage people to distrust their governments, build trust in the local communities, make money, read, gain qualifications, get passports, and be ready for the new world that we're going to move into. Because I think the world will get darker in some places and brighter in other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a bit of an attack on like civil liberties in the Western world, but I do think it's starting to open up in other places. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, decentralizing government is 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 a good thing, and I think these wealth I we believe SPX is going to do incredibly well, so it's going to be a huge wealth creation event for average, ordinary people who are in the community, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with that money.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's part of the reason why I'm here is like I like to I want to be in the I want to try to affect history, but in a way that's like maybe slightly less egoic. Instead of saying this is what I think is right, everyone else should do it. It's more like I'm gonna support the things that I think are right, but I'm not gonna like force them on people. That's the thing I love about like SPX 6900 is you don't have to buy it. You can just ignore me. You know, you can go about live your life. You can enjoy your government inflation numbers and believe they're true, or you can join us and buy an asset that I can't control. I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you when to sell it, when to buy it. I don't know where your keys are. I can't control anything. And I just think a world of more freedom is really essential um, for the future we're moving into.
Yeah, totally. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. And I appreciate everyone who's made it this far, listening to us. And please like, comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. I'll put a link to Ready Steady Go's X account in the description below. I'll also include his SPX 6900 resources website, a link to that. Until next time, persist forever, Aeons.